The year is 1987. After a $1.6 million investment, the search for Nessie showed no evidence. Dollars. As if America was that kid in school who was like, "You haven't found it yet? Here, let me fling money at it so we can tell people that we found it." The first Final Fantasy game was released on the NES, and, more importantly to absolutely no one, I was brought into the world exactly 1 week before the movie we'll be talking about today, RoboCop. Right, so that last statement was technically true. However, that release date was in the US, and I discovered before recording this that the theatrical release date in the UK was February 88. Now, unless Paul Verhoeven personally comes to me to call out my mistake, I'm going to continue. In a dystopic and crime-riddled Detroit, a terminally wounded cop returns to the force as a powerful cyborg haunted by submerged memories. Now this is all very 80s, and if that wasn't enough, the synth starts about 4 seconds in, just so you know exactly where we are as we join a news network who say,
"This is Media Break. You give us 3 minutes and we'll give you the world."
And we will pop back to these anchors every once in a while for a news update, and although not necessary to the action itself, the first time it's here to set up the fact that the world is a terrible place and how crime is taken over, but it does shift towards this commercialism as it shows these parody adverts.
Pakistan is threatening my border!
That's it, Buster. No more military aid. Nuke 'em. Get them before they get you.
And these are fun, but I don't think it makes any difference if they weren't there. We are also introduced to crime boss Clarence Bodica, played by Kurtwood Smith. And a couple of things here. Of all the crime boss names in all the world, Clarence, like, you went with Clarence. Alright. I know Kurtwood Smith from That 70s Show, and I like to think that this was his life before he went to Wisconsin, met Kitty and settled down.
You know who I am? Stop!
Now look, we all have skeletons in our closets. His just happens to be that he was a major crime boss who was wanted for killing about 30 cops, and he was able to hold down that role whilst having a name like Clarence, and that deserves to be respected. Now, people love explaining the plot to each other in this movie just so the audience catches on, and it's not really an annoyance, it's just like part of the furniture, similar to like, say like a horror movie when someone runs upstairs instead of runs out. You just kind of go, okay, fair enough.
But don't mess with Jones, man. He'll make sushi out of it. Yeah, you better be careful, man. I hear Jones is a real shark.
Now that is Big Bad Business Cop OCP, or Omni Consumer Products, who have been tasked to police the streets of Detroit as well as building this new Delta City. Now they plan on policing the streets with this massive robot called Ed 209, who kind of seems like you're watching a Jason and the Argonauts movie when he's like walking. And look, I know it does seem far-fetched, but honestly, people did used to have meetings all in the one room. And just so we know that big business can be as ruthless as the people that they are pretending to protect, this person just gets shot in front of a whole bunch of people in the meeting room, and the boss is like,
Dick, I'm very disappointed.
During the first time out for Murphy and Lewis, they end up chasing Clarence and his mob to this old mill warehouse, and they also decide to go in, just the two of them. But not only that they're going to split up. Now, that's like Adventuring Party 101. You do not split up the party. Murphy is then outnumbered and shot at point blank range with shotguns after his hand is blown off, and that is what's known in the business as a natural one. And just for good measure, he's also shot in the head. But wait, he had armour on, he'll be fine. He was only shot 30 plus times. His insides would not be secreting out him like he was Joey Tribbiani having meat sweats. I will say though that I forgot this movie was an 18, and I was surprised with the amount of blood that was on show here. People mentioned this as a movie that they watched too young, and yep, I can totally see that. So we finally have RoboCop, and he's out on his first missions, and it's kind of like, do you know when you max a character out in a video game and you're doing all the achievements, so you're just one button killing all the petty thugs? That's basically it. And the soundtrack plays, and I was like bobbing my head as if I was just about to do my ring entrance. It has to be said though, there's only so much of RoboCop doing the one button kill, the one liner, and then moving on to the next victim that you can watch. And the movie knows this, so then pivots from the standard cop duty and goes to the corruption angle of OCP. It kind of switches the perspective of who the bad guy is, similar to our last movie actually, The Bourne Identity. And it becomes a revenge tale. And the final battle scenes happen at the old mill when the man Murphy was killed, and gives us a visual representation of what it's really like to have a hangover the older you get. And it all comes to a close in the OCP meeting room, where Dick Jones from earlier is ousted as killing a colleague. Now he takes his boss, known as the old man, hostage, and RoboCop saves the day, and instead of the old man being like in shock or fearful that he was just close to death, or that the closest person to him, who probably had dinners at his home, who sent Christmas cards every year, had taken him hostage, and had just been shot multiple times and fell out of the window of the 95th floor. Not the old man. He's seen some things. His reaction?
Not shooting, son. What's your name?
RoboCop is a lot of fun, even after like 30 plus years. There's moments in this movie that in other movies may seem tedious, and although there is points that the exposition will drag it down, it is certainly a reason to remember 1987/88. And just as a side note, I really want to do a drinking game with this, and I'll probably wake up the next morning like... So that's it. That's been RoboCop. The button and the bell, as well as the comment section, are below if you want to join in the conversation. See yous again.